I've had a bit of trouble with my four-wheel drive in this Mazda Bravo Ute V6, and one of the problems I've been having is that it wouldn't go into four-wheel drive. Now, I used on the console here to put it into four high or four low, it wouldn't go in, and I've had the gearbox transfer case motor out, which I'll show you where that is. That's the four-wheel drive transfer case motor on the back of the transmission there. And what the problem is it wouldn't go in and out. It was a bloody nightmare. So this little box here, what you can see on here, it says controller. It says ESOF and RFW, which is right front wheel lock, which is the wheel lock to lock the front axle, RFW. And how all this electronic four-wheel drive stuff works, this push button, is that you flick it into the four-wheel drive here, and then you hit this RFW button that locks the front axle. That's how you disengage it. So if you go to put in four-wheel drive, you just flip this switch to four low, and four high, and two high. And then when you go to take it out from two high, just hit that button, it takes it out. It does tell you on here how to shift it and that. But my main reason why I'm doing this video is I want to help everyone out here. Now, if you got one of these electronic, if you don't have a transfer case gear knob here and you're not locking the front axles, if you got a four-wheel drive, well, if you're not doing it manually and it's automatic, well, how it works is it's all controlled by this computer box. Now, I'll show you inside, because this one's wrecked anyway. So what I'll do is I'll just open it up, and I'll give it a look, because you know, probably people, if you're watching this and you've got a problem, you'll be curious to know what's going on. So what we'll do is we'll take it out, sit on the leg and I'll show you what's inside it. This is what is inside the control box for the four-wheel drive circuit to work. That's what it is. It's a 25 pins it is, in that little black box here. That goes in there, and here, where that little, this box is here located, it's located right there. It sits on top of your ECU. That's the box there. Right there, with that yellow base on it. And I had to swap mine out because this one's stuffed. Something's wrong with it. It wouldn't engage four-wheel drive, and the lights were flashing on the dash, both four-wheel drive light and the RFW light. They were both flashing simultaneously on the dash. I flicked the switch. I took the transfer case motor off the back of the gearbox. I thought it was that. It wasn't. It come back to the control box. So if you ever got trouble with your four-wheel drive, with this electronic four-wheel drive shifting, and you have an issue, this is your problem. This electronic box. Now I'll show you that axle in the front. Now we've got this axle here too. Now, I'm going to go through the whole system and show you, so hopefully it's easy to explain. Now this is your axle. This pin here, this actuator, what you see right here, what my finger's on, this actuator is controlled by vacuum, and this slides when you go to flip that switch in the ute, what I just showed you. This slides, this is controlled by vacuum. It pushes this lever and pin, it's got a ball bearing in here, and it pushes it across, and the ball bearing holds in the four-wheel drive. That's what locks it in. And this actuator here is, it's air controlled, vacuum controlled from the engine. I'll show you that in a minute, where them two solenoids are. And the easiest way to find out when you're having trouble is just spin the tail shaft, the four-wheel drive tail shaft, that one here on the gearbox. Spin that four-wheel drive tail shaft with your hand, and you'll know if it's locked or not, if it's out, if the lights are flashing. And that box controls all this stuff. So with this one here, this is out at the moment, which, like, you know, I haven't got the vehicle going, but this is out. And when it's in, it'll slide this across, and that's what locks this axle. And I'll lock these two wheels, and I'll lock that tail shaft, and the transfer case motor then will engage the transfer case itself, and that will actually engage the gear in it. So when the controller's playing up, this vehicle can still have the front axle locked, but the transfer case is in neutral. So you could be still driving around, even if it's playing up and you take the fuse out, this could still be engaged. So you want to make sure if you're ever driving your vehicle around, you're having trouble with this four-wheel drive, make sure the tail shaft's out. You might have to come under here manually and force this back so it's out, the axle's out. You do not want to drive your vehicle around with this axle in. That is a big no-no. And that's how the actuator works. It's got these vacuum hoses, so if you're ever having trouble with this and it's not working properly, this vacuum hose here, these could have cracks in them, splits, or anything. That's why your four-wheel drive won't work too. But that's this axle's only reason you need to check here is if the transfer case motor's not working. If the transfer case motor's not working, it means it's got a problem with the controller. Don't always think that it's just your transfer case motor that's causing the issue. And that's what controls the light, that RFW light in the dash, these two wires. That's what gives it light. Now, we'll take you up, follow you up the wires up to it. This is your solenoids right here. There's two solenoids here. Can't really bloody That's your two solenoids right there. It's a blue stripe and a yellow stripe. And that's your wires that are going into that actuator. Now when you hit that button in there, this is what flips the solenoid and causes vacuum. This is what takes your axle out. And it also, when you put in four-wheel drive, this is what pushes the axle in. That vacuum pump down there. Now, your wires run under here from that transfer case motor. I'll give you a look here. This is where the transfer case motor is there. Your wires run through here, through the floor. They come up here, and they're behind this thing here. They run across the dash and over to where that unit is where we first started. Over here. So that's how your four-wheel drive system works. Now, back to this box here. What you see there, that yellow on the bottom of it. Well, this unit here, we've got my hand here. This controls your whole four-wheel drive circuit. So when you engage this switch in the console, that automatically must go through, runs it through this chip, tells it to put in four-wheel drive, the transfer case in 4 high or 4 low, and also locks axle. Now when you take it out of four-wheel drive and you hit that RFW lock, that right front wheel lock, this sends a message to the chip, to that vacuum solenoid that was under the bonnet, what I just showed you, and it allows that actuator to come back and it'll pull the axle out, and that's how it's in neutral. So your axle's disengaged, it's not a live axle. Now, if this plays up sometime on you, anyone that's got one of these vehicles, it doesn't have to be this Bravo here, this V6 one, but any 4-cylinder or diesel or anything that's got this diff lock, any trouble, always, once you test it, the two wires on it, the power wires to your motor on it. Now, I've seen different things in that, what I've read up about, that some people are having trouble when their axle won't come out. Now, it could be the vacuum line on your actuator on the front of the axle causing that problem. Now, the controller, when this shit itself, it started going in and out of four-wheel drive, and then I couldn't get the bloody thing out of four-wheel drive. And I thought it was actual transfer case mode, but it wasn't. It was this controller chip that controls everything for it, including that actuator on the front locks axle and them solenoids. It's all through one unit, which is this. This is the brains behind the whole lot. So don't go throwing your money away on transfer case motors until you know 100% sure, because if this unit's giving it power, if you're getting power from this unit to your transfer case motor, if you're not sure if this unit's bad, just get the wires. I'll show you which wires they are. Them two, these wires here, it's a yellow and an orange. Now them two yellow and orange ones, what you see there, that's the power that goes to your transfer case motor. Now, you can test that yellow and orange wire from that kick panel over there. You don't even have to take the transfer case motor out of the vehicle or nothing. And if you go to flip your switch, and that's getting power to your transfer case motor and it's not going in, you know the transfer case motor is bad. But if it's not getting power to your transfer case motor and operating that four-wheel drive, and this is the reason. Now, if your actuator in the front, what we see in the vehicle, what I've showed you not long ago, if that's not, if you get another transfer case motor and that actuator, if you've got it out of four-wheel drive, make sure you go under the vehicle and spin that tail shaft. Make sure you push that actuator back, like to disengage it, because this controller, if it's not fully out, this won't read right, and it won't disengage that because it's controlled through this. So make sure it's out, you've disengaged it by hand, manually take the stone tray off it, disengage the actuator, and then come back in the vehicle and then go to put in four-wheel drive, and then turn your, like, you know, four high and four low, and then try to take your axle out with the button. And once axle, it reads right where it's supposed to be, it will work again properly. Because that's what this vehicle took. I had it and I was turning it in. I put the new that second-hand controller in for the four-wheel drive, and I turned the button and it was going four high and four low, and we're about to move around the yard here with it. But I found that when I went to take it out and hit the button, it wouldn't disengage that actuator in the front. Well, I found out the actuator wasn't out, so I pushed it out manually when it wasn't in four-wheel drive, it was in too high. And then once I got back in the vehicle, the light was off from that right front wheel lock. It was flashing. It wasn't like when it's engaged, it'll be a solid right front wheel lock, it'll be lit up and it'll be just a solid light, it won't blink. But just because it blinks, it doesn't mean it's in or out. Now, what I found I did is I went to it manually after I swapped this controller over. I went under the vehicle, manually forced the pin back, and you could hear it click, because it's got a ball bearing there. You can move it in and out by hand when the vehicle's off. And once I moved it back and I started the vehicle up, the light was off from the dash. Then I went back under the vehicle to try and move it, and I couldn't move it. The vehicle had locked it in out of four-wheel drive, so it couldn't engage itself on its own. That's how the system works. So the system tells itself by them vacuum solenoids under the bonnet, them two, one's to keep it in, and when you disengage it, one's to keep it out for permanently. So if you're having issues with it, that is the thing to check, this controller. And make sure you check your hoses too, if it's just axle, because the transfer case motor is only thing just shifted into four high and four low. It hasn't got nothing else to do with it. But this brains of this circuit, this is what engages it, tells it to put your front axle in automatically for you. So when you've got an issue in the circuit and it's got, like, you know, if it's not reading right, it's not in the right spot, this controller won't tell that. It hasn't got brains, so you got to do it manually. And once you've got it, like, you know, if you disengage the axle in the front and you spin your tail shaft by hand, you can turn it, you know it's out, and you come back in your vehicle and you can start it up. It's off. So, and then you can go to put it in, you can go to, like, you know, take it out in the road, and when you go to click it in a four high or four low, you'll hear the transfer case motor work. You'll hear it click, click. You'll hear it. It won't be like a noise, it'll just click, click. You got to put your foot on the brake to engage that, and once you've done that, you they'll both light up. The RFW light and the four-wheel drive light will light up on the dash. And when you go to take it out, you put it in the too high, all you have to do is hit your foot, put your foot on the brake, hit that button, and that you'll hear it. It'll come out. You'll hear the solenoid click, and you'll see the light in the dash. The axle will be out. And yeah, but hopefully this video was educational and help you out, anyone that's doing this, because I mean, this really got me stumped for a bit. I didn't realise it would have had a controller like this controlling it, so hopefully I've helped someone out. And yeah, and that's electronic four-wheel driving for you, to lock the hubs in. Hopefully I've covered anything, and if you ever have any questions or anything about it, just put in the comment section. I'll be happy to help you. And also, one other thing I didn't cover is the fuses. If your four-wheel drive's not working, make sure you check your fuses. Like, these are two fuses. There's one here fuse here in the fuse box here for four-wheel drive, and then there's a 40 amp one or something like this square one under the bonnet in the fuse box. if that's not working altogether, nothing will work with the four-wheel drive when you go to put it in. You'll probably blow the fuse if you've got no lights or nothing. If it's just dead and you won't get nothing to light up, that could be the first place I'd check your fuse. So if you've got no lights on the dash when you go to put it in the four-wheel drive and it won't work at all, you guarantee it's a fuse. But if you're having trouble getting it in and out of four-wheel drive and that, and it's playing up, and the transfer case motor ain't working and stuff, this is why. This just started. It wouldn't go out to start off with, and then I could get it in, and then I couldn't get the bastard out. The front axle wouldn't come out on its own, so something in this controller happened. And then the transfer case motor, I couldn't get no power to that. After that, I was taking the fuse in and out when it was out to try and get it out. Then I had to take the stone tray off and under the front to get the axle out. But you got to make sure the transfer case motor wasn't in though too, because you can't drive around on the highway at 100 kilometres an hour with your transfer case in, like in low range or high range. That is just silly, and you can't drive around the axle in either. So the only way to beat this system, if you want to drive your vehicle around, and to stop this problem, like, you know, if it's in, you have to take the transfer case off the gearbox and manually do it. But the first thing I'd do is to look at the front axle in the front and slide the axle over manually by hand, but take the fuse out first. Take your fuses out of the four-wheel drive so it's completely out, so it can't engage itself when it starts up. You don't have to undo these solenoids or anything around here. I'll show you. Because what I would do, you don't have to pull these vacuum hoses off or anything if you want to drive your vehicle around still if the full drive don't work. I suggest you just take the fuses out. Take the fuses out of your fuse box for the full drive. Look in your owner's manual, you'll find it. Take the fuses out, and that will disconnect this controller, and then you have to take the stone guard off the front of the vehicle, like I've got what you're seeing at the start with that actuator out slides across, and you have to manually take it out, and you'll be able to drive your vehicle around for ages, even if you don't buy another controller or anything. The only reason why I suggest you take the fuse out is because if this thing plays up and it clicks on, it could put the vehicle in four-wheel drive when you're driving on the highway somewhere, and then you're going to have big problems, because it could end up smashing itself up. Because I don't see any fail safe with this. I mean, the only thing you can do is take the fuse out so it doesn't get no power, and then you don't have to worry about it. So that's what I suggest you do. Or if you got the controller there, if you don't know where the fuse is, just undo that wire and this, just undo this, and then make sure you got the axle out. You can spin the tail shaft. Now, I always stress this: if you want to drive your vehicle around and you know you can't fix it, like, you know, you haven't got the money for the transfer case, or you don't know anything about it, but you still want to drive your vehicle without four-wheel drive, make sure you disconnect the box or the fuses, and also make sure you get under there and spin that front tail shaft by hand so it's disengaged, because you can't drive your vehicle around with four-wheel drive engaged still when it's not, even though the controller or you disconnect it. You've got to manually do it, like to get the axle out. You can't drive it around, so what you have to do is just come under here, grab this with your hand and push it straight across that way, and that will disengage it. If you want to engage it, you slide it back the other way. And yeah, that's it. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I'm trying to help you as much as possible, because I know there's a lot of people getting stuck, and you know, and if this axle's having problems not engaging in and out, check your vacuum lines, because the vacuum lines are the next thing that you want to look at, and they're pretty easy to replace too. Just get some new hose and run from up the top up there, them solenoids, and then just hook them up just like here. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, share, comment, and have a great day. And I know it was a lot, I know there's a lot to take in, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I mean, if you're not mechanically minded in that, it's a lot to understand, but I'm just trying to save everyone some money and some problems. And please like and subscribe, share, comment, and have a great day. And thanks for watching. change it to 2 low. 4 high, I mean. This is 4 low. I'm going to get the 4 drive one. It's hard for me to do this with the camera. But what I'll do is, right, now, to take it out, to take the 4-wheel drive out, right, what I'll do is I'll drive up here, where I'm going to park the vehicle, right, and this is all we have to do, right, that's 4 high, right, that's 2 low, and then hit the RFW button, right, and that's it, she's out.